It's been snowing again, so today I had to come and take some photographs. It can be tricky when everything is white, so I have 3 tips for you to get much better snowy landscapes, as well as a tip on what to avoid. Good morning, everybody. I did have another location in mind today, and I started driving, but as I went further north, the snow really came in and stopped me from going any further. So I decided to come up onto this hill behind my house instead. There's some really nice snowy scenes though. The trees in the distance have just had a covering overnight, and there's a really nice house over there. That might make a good subject or a good focal point for a shot. Wow. I love it when it's like this. So I'm trying to photograph that tree in there, but I don't know if I've got a good shot of it. These flakes are really big and it's coming down quite a lot. Now, photographing snowy scenes is really tricky, especially when there's snow in the air. It's really easy just to freeze that snow in the air and not have any kind of sense of depth. But when you're actually in the environment, because all of that snow is moving, it gives a really good sense of depth. So, how do you capture that and how do you put it on camera? Whoa, I'm trying to get across this sty. Nearly fell over that. Right on cue, the snow stopped. So here I've got this one up here that's at a bit of an angle. So I'm hoping to be able to capture this area here, and maybe that'll stand out amongst the chaos. I've got 2 solid trees either side framing it, and the tree leant to a bit of an angle. So what I'm going to try and do is get a photo of that, see if I can get it standing out. I'm not very hopeful with this one, but we'll see. No, it doesn't really work. I'm really struggling today. Let me know in the comments below if you ever go out and you struggle to get good shots. There are some shoots that you go on that this is just inevitable. I think what I have to do is find something completely different. The problem here is all the trees are exactly the same. And this is really tricky. I'm probably going to be saying that a lot in this video. Come on, where are you? I wonder if you've noticed what I'm doing with my shutter speed to kind of accentuate that snow. If you do it already, let me know in the comments below. Or if you've spotted what I'm doing, again, let me know in the comments below. It's a great little trick to kind of give a sense of movement. And that's your clue to what I'm doing. Yes, it looks like it's clearing up a little bit. It looks like I might be able to use longer focal lengths. And that's one thing, when the snow is really thick in the air, you kind of lose that ability to use really long focal lengths, getting things in the distance. But because we've got snow showers, there are gaps. It looks like there's patches of blue sky as well. I think I need to get out of the woods now the snow has stopped. So we'll see, I think there's another snow shower coming through as well. Now, I'm not going to keep you in suspense for too long. Basically what I'm doing is slowing my shutter down, so as those snowflakes go through my frame, they're blurring a little bit. It gives a sense of movement, it gives a sense that it's snowing a lot, and it just adds something to the shot. If you look at this shot, where I've taken it with a really high shutter speed, it freezes everything, and you do lose that sense of depth. Now I've got another tip for shooting in snowy scenes, but I've got to find a location where I can show you exactly what I mean first. And I think I'm going to have to get out the back of this woods. I've just noticed something as well. As I'm walking along, if I look up to my left, all the trees are covered in snow. And then if I look down to my right, it's almost as if the trees haven't seen any snow whatsoever. Really weird. Now I think I might have spotted something. There's an opening in the trees up there. If I can get a break, maybe here, maybe that'll work. So I've got these trees either side. I've got a canopy in the background that's caught some snow, and then the light is shining down on that. The only downside is the sky's quite bright behind it, but that canopy is quite bright as well. So I'm going to use the trees to frame that canopy in the distance. Sometimes I just like to stop and have a look around to see what I can find. That's how I found this canopy in the distance. So I've just come out of the woods and I've really had to control the exposure on this camera I'm filming on. Now, the shot that I'm getting at the moment is one stop overexposed. That's because there's so much white in the scene. It's looking at all of that white and trying to balance it out. So if I take the shutter speed to where it thinks it should be there. I could probably balance out the luminosity in this shot, but it does come out quite dark. If I was taking photographs on a normal day, I normally go about one stop under, which is about there. So that shows how much you have to compensate in snowy scenes. So I'll get it back up to looking okay. There, it's about 2/3 of a stop over where the camera's meter should be. So if you shoot in aperture or shutter priority or program mode, this is when you need to use that exposure compensation dial just to bump it up a bit. Then you'll get much better starting exposures, even if you shoot in RAW. Then you'll be able to edit it a lot better and you'll have a lot more to work with. Now, if you just stuck your camera in one stop over with that exposure compensation, it would trip up every now and then. So you need to keep an eye on what's in the shot. For instance, this shot that I'll frame up now and take, let's just get it lined up. With that one, there's a lot of dark in the frame from those woods in the background. And I've dropped my exposure compensation back down to 2/3 under what the camera thinks it should be. It's like with photography in general. You've got to play around with your settings and see what works and what doesn't. Now, talking of exposures, it's so tricky filming in this environment. If I get the sky right, my face is really underexposed. But then if I get my face right, the sky is really overexposed. I just wish these film cameras would shoot in true RAW. That would be fantastic, because then I could balance that out a little bit. It's a shame that sun has gone in, because that's kind of taken away from this one a little bit. Might wait around and see if it comes back out. But at the moment, it's looking quite flat. Now, this is a really good example of when you should bump your exposure compensation into the plus figures. And that sun's coming back a touch, so I'm going to get another shot now. Come on, there we go. There we go. So what I'm trying to do, get the tree, so I'll focus on the tree and get it to the thirds. But then I don't like this tree over here, so I'm going to crop in a touch more with a zoom and take that again. I also like these snow tracks here. So we've got this lake, and I've also got this gate here. There's definitely a few compositions around here. Now with this one, this tree and these sheep here look quite interesting. But the problem is that tree blends in with the background. So I was struggling with that. So then I decided to get just a close-up portrait-oriented shot here with the sheep and those trees in the background. And that seemed to work a little bit better. Now over here we've got this gate, and then there's the tracks going up through the middle, up to that tree. Also in the foreground, we've got these really nice shadows coming through. Now there's so many things to shoot here that you're kind of looking here, there and everywhere, trying to find some nice frames. There's this tree in the distance, and the fence zigzags up to it. And then we've got the snow-capped hills in the background. I thought that zigzag of the line in the fence with the tree on it, it looked like it kind of created a shape in the frame.
One thing I love about snowy scenes like this is the contrast between the snow and the trees and hedges. It does really lend itself well to those ultra high contrasty shots. I photographed this frame when the sun was on it, and I really like the V in the bottom and that line of trees, and when the sun was on it there was a load of shadows coming off those trees running through the hills. They could almost come out as black and white because there's not much colour in the scene whatsoever. I'll put two shots side by side, one with normal colour and one with the colour taken out, so you can see how contrasty this is and how black and whites work really well in snowy scenes. Now, I'm not saying that you should just turn everything black and white, but just play around with black and white shots. Try dropping that saturation down a little bit just to see what it looks like. When you've got high contrast in the scene, black and whites work well. Not always, but sometimes they work well. So it's just something to try and something to think about when you're taking that shot. Now, if you've been out in snowy scenes and you really struggle with it, let me know in the comments below what you struggle with and the problems that you have. And if you're a bit of a pro or a bit of a veteran in shooting snowy scenes, like you might live in Austria or Norway or something like that, and you've got some hints and tips for me as well as other commenters, again, let us know in the comments below. And if you see someone with a problem that you know the answer to, again, reply to those people as well. I want to just try and make this a really nice community where we can all learn off each other. I've learnt little bits and bobs off you guys, and I'm hoping you've learnt little bits and bobs off me as well.